Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are specifically going to talk about the treasure in the Castle Never Vault that was discovered in Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves today, and there are spoilers for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves here. Okay, let's go. All right, warning, there are spoilers for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves here. Okay, so I had a great conversation with one of my commenters, right? And I said, Simon Almer goes into the vault at Castle Neverwinter and gets the treasure, right? And this commenter came back and said there was no treasure in the Castle Never vault; it was empty, right? In fact, he went in, and the only thing that happened was, there was these tentacles that came up that Sophina used to trap him while he was inside the Castle Never vault, right? So there's no treasure in the vault of Castle Never, and he could not be more wrong. And I want you to not make the same mistake. So Simon Almer and Doric and Simon and Doric and Holga and Edgin penetrate into the city of Neverwinter, and they go to get all this gold and gems and art and magical weapons that are contained in the Castle Never vault. Not just all of this collected physical treasure, right, that Lord Neverember had, but also the richest men, I think it was Caldwell and Perseidot. The richest men in Baldur's Gate and the richest man in Waterdeep, and they had put their physical treasures in the vault as well, right? So Simon Almer needs to get into the Castle Never vault, right? And he has to use the Helmet of Disjunction to do it. He has to attune to the Helmet of Disjunction, right? But his grandfather, Elminster Almer, is saying, you can't attune to this device because you're not a powerful sorcerer, and has blocked him time and time again for an entire day, right? And every time Simon jams this helm of disjunction on his head, it pops off because he can't attune to it, right? And so really, really, fascinating what happens. And what really happens is finally, Simon has this conversation with Simon has this powerful conversation with Elminster, and he says, I am a powerful sorcerer, right? And what's amazing is Edgin before had said to him, Edgin tells Simon, he says, listen carefully. You are going to attune that helmet, not because you can, but because you must. You must put yourself in the place of failure. You must put yourself in the place of danger. You have to be at risk for yourself to understand who you actually are, right? You have to put yourself in the space, right? You have to be there. You have to take the risk. You have to do it not because you can, but because you must, right? And so you know what? And he says, you are a powerful sorcerer, right? And Edgin says this to Simon, right? And Simon says back to Edgin, he says, just because you say it doesn't make it true, right? And Edgin's response back says, but when you say it, it is, right? He's saying the moment you say it and you believe it, it will be a reality, right? And Simon's just like, no, it's not that easy, right? And he just won't let himself believe that he is a powerful sorcerer, right? And he even says to Elminster at one point, I'm a powerful sorcerer. And Elminster's like, is that a question? Right? But here's the issue. Simon gets there. He's at Castle Never. He's at the Castle Never vault, which has the arcane seal of Morden Kanan, the most powerful sorcerer who ever lived, right? In the Forgotten Realms, right? And so basically, Simon finally gets there. The guards get there, right? And he jams that helmet on his head, and he has the last conversation with Elminster. And he says to Elminster, I am a powerful sorcerer, right? And at that moment, he attunes to the Helm of Disjunction, and simultaneously, he sends an anti-magic burst out from the Helm of Disjunction, which knocks down every single, right? Every single guard. And then he turns and simultaneously kills the arcane seal of Mordenkainen, counterspells it, right? Destroys it. And at that point, Simon turns and breaches the door, breaches Mordenkainen's arcane seal, right? The arcane seal of Mordenkainen. He breaches it. And the moment he goes into that Castle Never vault, there are no gold coins. There are no gems, right? And he simply goes in to the vault. And what it is filled with is the breaching of the arcane seal of Mordenkainen by Simon. And the echoes of his footsteps off the walls are shouting, I am a powerful sorcerer. So the vault is filled with sound, the echoes of his footfalls, which are action proof that he is a powerful sorcerer. And his life is changed, transformed. There's no doubt left in him. And he's going to riz Doric in a day later, right? He's changed, right? The treasure is being able to riz Doric. The treasure is knowing you are a powerful sorcerer. The treasure is knowing who you are. That's Dungeons and Dragons. It is my humble opinion that the shape of the world that we have today has massively reduced risk, right? Physical crime is outrageously rare in America, right? It's incredibly rare, right? And the reality, most of us live in, literally walled gardens, right? And so risk doesn't look the same now, right? The risk is our low self-esteem. And I am convinced that today, in this modern society in America, you have zero ability to know who you are without Dungeons & Dragons. But when you engage with Dungeons & Dragons and you get 100 sessions under your belt, right, you're going to have gone through different genders, different preferences, different species, different classes, different functionality, different fears, different memory, different sensation, different emotions, different identities. And when you go through that gauntlet of all those identities, you will know who you are. And you will be able to say, I am a powerful person, right? But only after you've gone through the gauntlet, only after you've done the hard work of identity exploration, being an astronaut, right? The treasure was the reality of knowing who he was. That was the treasure. And so Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, points its finger right in your face and says, who are you? Are you some sad sack schmuck that's chasing the USD, Dogecoin, and Bitcoin? Do you think that's the treasure here? The treasure is your identity. Do you know who you are? Do you know that you are a powerful person? Do you know it? Right? Have you heard your footsteps echo off the walls of Dungeons & Dragons? Because until you have, you do not know who you are, and you don't know the definition of treasure. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.